We have these 7 books that I'm going to discuss today. I've been meaning to read these books, but I just haven't had a chance to get to them. But I'm going to do an overview of each of these books because they've been weighing on me and I want to draw some attention to them. So the first one here is Where Have All the Cowboys Gone by Prelude Alexander. He is a native Charlestonian. He's from Charleston, where I am. My brother recently heard him speak in an event, said that he was hilarious. This book is really a history book of the United States, and according to its comments, that is a very funny book making fun of some of the old tweed jacket gentlemen who have written about history and make it very boring. He has tried to bring some life to it. So I highly recommend this book. Check it out. Let me know in the comments section once you read this book if you like it or not. And Daryl Parcel wrote to me a while back and said, hey, will you please review one of my books on your website? He sent me this book. Daryl, I'm very sorry that I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it looks like a very funny book. He has been writing for a long time about conservative politics, and as I thumb through it, he's got all kinds of funny topics in here, dating back over the years, and cartoons and various other things. But this is another very funny book that you can read from a conservative perspective. Now, as I move through the list, here is the Albert Norton Jr. wrote to me, and he has this fantastic book, which I actually started, The Mountain and the River, Genesis, Postmodernism, and the Machine. And this is a very thought-provoking book. I've thumbed through it, I've read the back cover, and I actually read the first part of the book, and already highlighted some things in this book. But this is a very thoughtful book. He is a lawyer and obviously a very deep thinker, but I would encourage anybody to check this out. If you want to learn, mostly the topic is postmodernism. We are living in a postmodern world. What does that mean for religion, for Christianity, for the world and our culture that we are living in? All right, Mr. Joel Beasley, he was also a fan of the Conservative Book Society. He wrote to me a while back and asked me to review his book. I'm not doing a full-fledged review, but this book looks like a fantastic book. It's called Patriots and Traders. It is available on Amazon. I'm sure it's a great book. He is inspired to try to help shape our culture, and he's doing it by writing fiction books. It looks a little bit like Patriot Games. And next up on the list, this one is by Ari Mendelson. It's called Due Process. The first book that he wrote on consent was an excellent read. This one is also an excellent read. I highly recommend this book. I have not finished it yet. I promised him I would and I would do a review, but I haven't quite finished it yet, but it's an excellent read. This one too is available on Amazon. Now, rounding out my list of 7, those 5 books are books that you have probably never heard of before, but give them, they're in the links below, but you can give those a whirl. Rounding out my list of books that are sitting on my shelf that I would love to read if I had the time. Okay, next up on the list is called The Shallows. What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. This book I have not gotten too far into it, but Nicholas Carr wrote this book in 2010 about how the internet is sort of ruining our brains, and then redid another edition in 2020, 10 years later, saying, hey, look, I was right. The internet is ruining human beings. This book is another thoughtful read. It's full of evidence as well for what social media and the internet and everything else is making us lazy dreads. Read that one. And then this book has been sitting on my shelf, and I would love to read it when I get a chance. But it's On Justice, Scalia. Specifically for lawyers, this is probably a very good book. This first one, this is a 2-part series. James Rosen wrote this book. But this is basically Scalia's life up until he got onto the Supreme Court. Now the next one is going to be him on the Supreme Court. Those are 7 books. They're linked in the comments section. Be sure to check them out. Read those books. Let me know what you think about them. This isn't a full review of any of those books or an endorsement of those books, but these are ones that I think look great and some authors you've probably never heard of. I'm John Henderson. Thanks for watching.